Angel is an older woman whose life has become deeply entangled in the world of online conflict. Her primary preoccupation is YouTube drama, a realm she both consumes and perpetuates. What began as casual interest has evolved into obsession. Her identity now depends on the constant stimulation and validation that digital controversy provides. At the core of Angel's personality lies profound self-centeredness. Every decision she makes serves her own interests, regardless of how it affects others. Relationships, to her, are not emotional connections, but functional exchanges. She engages with people only to extract attention, support, or social advantage. When those benefits fade, she discards them without hesitation. Yet when confronted with her own actions, she deflects responsibility by portraying herself as a misunderstood victim, feigning ignorance or confusion as a means of emotional manipulation. Angel's self-image is constructed around illusion. She frequently references her famous mob boss father, using the association to project importance and command respect. However, this claim is deceptive. The man she refers to is her stepfather, not her biological parent. This embellishment underscores a pattern of fabrication. Angel's sense of worth depends less on truth and more on perception. Her use of a borrowed name reflects a lifelong need to appear powerful and relevant, even when the reality contradicts the narrative. Her social environment reflects her own dysfunction. She surrounds herself with individuals of questionable character, habitual liars, opportunists, and those who thrive on hostility. Together, they form a toxic echo chamber where cruelty and deceit are normalized. Despite her loyalty to these companions, Angel's relationships are inherently unstable. She frequently turns on her own allies when they express dissent, revealing her deep insecurity and inability to tolerate opposition. Outside of her online world, Angel's life is marked by isolation and eccentricity. She lives surrounded by a growing number of cats, treating them as extensions of herself rather than as living creatures with needs of their own. Her home is cluttered and chaotic, a physical mirror of her inner turmoil. The cats provide her with the illusion of affection and loyalty that she cannot maintain with people. In her mind, they are proof that she is loving and nurturing, even as she continues to alienate everyone around her. This fixation on her animals has become part of her identity. She wears it as both a badge of pride and a shield against loneliness. Greed and ego drive nearly every aspect of her personality. She exhibits a constant hunger for attention, validation, and control. Her behavior is impulsive and self-serving, often undermining her own credibility. While she believes she is orchestrating the chaos around her, in truth she is consumed by it. Her lack of insight and emotional intelligence leaves her trapped in cycles of manipulation and victimhood, patterns that only reinforce her isolation. Although she imagines herself as influential, the reality is quite different. The people around her do not genuinely respect or care for her. They tolerate her for personal gain, exploiting her name and her notoriety. Many of them have previously insulted or betrayed her, yet she continues to maintain these alliances because they feed her need for relevance. In essence, Angel is a portrait of self-deception, a woman who mistakes notoriety for power and manipulation for connection. Her constant lying, self-victimization, and shallow pursuit of validation reveal a fragile ego held together by denial. The cats, the drama, the false prestige, all are coping mechanisms, fragile barriers against the emptiness she refuses to face. Beneath the noise and the chaos is a lonely woman clinging to illusions of importance, surrounded by the very symbols of her decline. Angel is an older woman whose personality is dominated by narcissistic and histrionic traits, along with deep emotional instability and a distorted sense of self. Her life revolves around attention, manipulation, and control. Every part of her existence is driven by the need to be noticed, validated, and feared. Her obsession with online drama, especially on YouTube, has become her reality. What started as entertainment has turned into her only identity. The chaos gives her purpose. The arguments, the gossip, and the constant attention provide her with the emotional stimulation she cannot live without. For Angel, notoriety has become a substitute for love, and conflict a substitute for connection. At the center of her psychological makeup is an intense need for validation. She isn't able to feel complete without being the focus of attention. When she isn't being talked about, she feels invisible. That fear of insignificance drives her to create controversy and conflict just to feel alive. Her relationships follow a pattern of emotional exploitation. She uses people as tools, forming alliances not out of affection, but out of convenience. Once someone stops serving her needs, she discards them and rewrites the story to make herself the victim. Playing innocent is her favorite defense. She pretends she didn't know or never meant to hurt anyone. But this confusion is deliberate. It's a strategy designed to manipulate sympathy and avoid accountability. Angel's sense of identity is built on lies and illusions. She often brags about being the daughter of a famous mob boss, using that connection to make herself appear powerful and important. The truth, however, is that he's not her real father, he's her stepfather. But that doesn't matter to her. The fantasy gives her status. It feeds her ego. It allows her to pretend she's someone significant, even when her real life is empty and unimpressive. Beneath her arrogance lies a desperate fear of abandonment. Angel cannot tolerate being alone. But her selfish and vindictive behavior guarantees that everyone eventually leaves her. To protect herself from that pain, she creates chaos. Drama becomes her way to keep people engaged. It doesn't matter if they love her or hate her. What matters is that they're still looking at her. Her attachment to her cats further exposes her psychological decline. Her home is overrun with them. What seems like affection is really obsession. The cats are her replacement for human relationships, companions she can control completely. Creatures that cannot challenge or reject her. They fill the silence that her behavior has created. They are her audience when no one else will listen. Her house, likely disordered and chaotic, mirrors the confusion and instability of her own mind. Angel's thinking is shallow and self-serving. She lacks emotional intelligence, insight, and empathy. She cannot understand how her actions affect others, because her world begins and ends with herself. Her lies are not random, they're part of a defense mechanism. By twisting the truth, she protects her fragile ego from shame and failure. She lives in a state of constant denial, inventing new stories to justify the harm she causes. The people around her reflect her own dysfunction. She surrounds herself with liars, manipulators, and opportunist people just as morally corrupt as she is. Together, they form a toxic ecosystem where cruelty and deceit are rewarded. They insult and betray each other constantly, but she tolerates it because she needs the validation. Deep down, she knows they don't respect her, but she convinces herself that their attention is loyalty. Angel exhibits the traits commonly associated with cluster B personality disorders, especially narcissistic and borderline tendencies. She is impulsive, emotionally erratic, and driven by envy and insecurity. Her relationships are unstable. Her self-image is grandiose but fragile, and her need for control is insatiable. Her constant lying, emotional manipulation, and self-victimization suggest a mind trapped in cycles of delusion and self-destruction. What makes Angel particularly twisted is her ability to believe her own fabrications. Over time, her lies blur into her reality. She no longer separates truth from fantasy. Her world is built on contradictions. She wants to be adored, yet she behaves in ways that guarantee she'll be hated. She wants to be powerful, yet she's constantly controlled by the chaos she creates. In psychological terms, Angel is a portrait of self-destruction disguised as confidence. Her arrogance is armor. Her cruelty is camouflage. Every outburst, every manipulation, every exaggerated story is a desperate attempt to hide the emptiness underneath. Angel doesn't live in the real world anymore. She lives in the reflection of the image. She's created a woman addicted to drama, dependent on lies, and terrified of irrelevance. She's not merely selfish or manipulative. She's a mind consumed by the machinery of her own dysfunction. In the end, Angel is both the victim and the architect of her misery. A woman who cannot stop performing, even as her audience fades away. A woman who mistakes attention for affection and chaos for control. A woman so tangled in her own lies that the truth no longer matters. Angel displays clear traits of narcissistic personality disorder. Her sense of self is built entirely on illusion and external validation. She believes she is more important, intelligent, and deserving than others. Yet beneath that superiority is a fragile ego that constantly craves attention and reassurance. She uses manipulation, lying, and emotional theatrics to control the way people perceive her. Angel's interactions are never genuine. Their performances designed to maintain her image and feed her ego. When she is admired, she feels powerful. When she is criticized, she becomes defensive, vindictive, or plays the victim to regain sympathy. She has no real empathy for others and views relationships as tools for self-benefit. Her narcissism drives her need for chaos and attention. She surrounds herself with drama because it keeps her relevant and distracts her from the emptiness she feels inside. Every act of manipulation, every lie, and every feud serves one purpose: to protect her fragile self-image from collapsing under the weight of truth. Dealing with someone like Angel requires emotional distance, strategic communication, and a deep understanding of how narcissistic behavior works. Her world revolves around control, attention, and deception. When you interact with her, you are stepping into a performance, not a relationship. Every word, every gesture, and every emotional display is calculated to shape perception and maintain power. The first step in dealing with her is recognizing that you cannot change her. Narcissistic individuals rarely accept responsibility for their actions. They rewrite events to protect their ego and will deny even the most obvious truths. Trying to appeal to her empathy or reason will only result in frustration. Your goal is not to fix her. Your goal is to protect your own clarity. To expose her lies and manipulation, Focus on facts, consistency, and documentation. Angel relies on emotional confusion. She changes her stories frequently, counting on others to forget details or to question their own memory. By calmly keeping track of what she says, when she says it, and who heard it, you take away her strongest weapon, tales. Narcissists fear written truth because it cannot be twisted as easily as spoken words. When confronting her dishonesty, never argue emotionally. Stay calm, logical, and direct. Do not try to win an argument. Instead, reveal contradictions through her own words. Ask short, clear questions and let her respond. Her lies will eventually unravel because she cannot maintain consistency without emotional reinforcement. The key is not to shout over her, it's to let her expose herself. Angel thrives on reaction. She interprets attention, even negative attention, as proof that she still matters. The best psychological approach is called the gray rock method, responding to her drama with flat, neutral, factual replies. When she tries to provoke anger or guilt, respond with calm indifference. Deprived of emotional fuel, her manipulation loses power. Publicly, when her lies start to surface, stay composed and factual. Do not match her tone or try to humiliate her. That only feeds her narrative of victimhood. Instead, present clear evidence, concise statements, and verifiable truth. The goal is not to destroy her, it is to reveal the truth, so that her influence collapses under its own weight. People will see the contrast between her volatility and your composure. It's also important to understand that exposure alone will not humble her. She will attempt to rewrite the situation, portraying herself as the victim of a smear campaign. Expect denial, projection, and emotional retaliation. But over time, the consistency of truth will outweigh her theatrics. Her credibility will fade as the pattern of deceit becomes visible to others. Psychologically, the healthiest stance is detached observation. You see her behavior, you recognize the manipulation, but you do not internalize it. Keep emotional boundaries strong. Do not share personal information she can use later. Do not seek validation or closure from her. She will twist that vulnerability into another opportunity for control. Exposing angels. Narcissism is not about revenge. It's about restoring reality. It's about refusing to participate in her illusions. Her lies lose power when others stop reacting to them. Her control weakens when the truth is calmly spoken without anger or drama. In the end, the most effective way to deal with someone like Angel is through clarity, composure, and distance. Let her perform, but never play your part in her story. Document the facts, speak the truth, and withdraw your emotional investment. Narcissists crave attention more than anything. When you stop feeding that need, they starve on their own delusion. Over time, her own contradictions will expose her more thoroughly than any argument could. Truth does not need to shout. It only needs to stand firm while the lies destroy themselves.
The psychological definition of narcissism is an inflated, grandiose self-image. To varying degrees, narcissists think they're better looking, smarter, and more important than other people, and that they deserve special treatment. Psychologists recognize two forms of narcissism as a personality trait: grandiose and vulnerable narcissism. There's also narcissistic personality disorder, a more extreme form, which we'll return to shortly. Grandiose narcissism is the most familiar kind, characterized by extroversion, dominance, and attention-seeking. Grandiose narcissists pursue attention and power, sometimes as politicians, celebrities, or cultural leaders. Of course, not everyone who pursues these positions of power is narcissistic. Many do it for very positive reasons, like reaching their full potential or helping make people's lives better. But narcissistic individuals seek power for the status and attention that goes with it. Meanwhile, vulnerable narcissists can be quiet and reserved. They have a strong sense of entitlement, but are easily threatened or slighted. In either case, the dark side of narcissism shows up over the long term. Narcissists tend to act selfishly, so narcissistic leaders may make risky or unethical decisions, and narcissistic partners may be dishonest or unfaithful. When their rosy view of themselves is challenged, they can become resentful and aggressive. It's like a disease where the sufferers feel pretty good, but the people around them suffer. Taken to the extreme, this behavior is classified as a psychological disorder called narcissistic personality disorder. It affects 1 to 2% of the population, more commonly men. It is also a diagnosis reserved for adults. Young people, especially children, can be very self-centered, but this might just be a normal part of development. The 5th edition of the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual describes several traits associated with narcissistic personality disorder. They include a grandiose view of oneself, problems with empathy, a sense of entitlement, and a need for admiration or attention. What makes these traits a true personality disorder is that they take over people's lives and cause significant problems. Imagine that instead of caring for your spouse or children, you use them as a source of attention or admiration. Or imagine that instead of seeking constructive feedback about your performance, you instead told everyone who tried to help you that they were wrong. So what causes narcissism? Twin studies show a strong genetic component, although we don't know which genes are involved. But environment matters too. Parents who put their child on a pedestal can foster grandiose narcissism, and cold, controlling parents can contribute to vulnerable narcissism. Narcissism also seems to be higher in cultures that value individuality and self-promotion. In the United States, for example, narcissism as a personality trait has been rising since the 1970s, when the communal focus of the 60s gave way to the self-esteem movement and a rise in materialism. More recently, social media has multiplied the possibilities for self-promotion. Though it's worth noting that there's no clear evidence that social media causes narcissism. Rather, it provides narcissists a means to seek social status and attention. So can narcissists improve on those negative traits? Yes. Anything that promotes honest reflection on their own behavior and caring for others, like psychotherapy or practicing compassion towards others, can be helpful. The difficulty is, it can be challenging for people with narcissistic personality disorder to keep working at self-betterment. For a narcissist, self-reflection is hard from an unflattering angle.
So I heard you and Trambo think me and Parasite Slayer are the same person. We're not the same person. Or are we? The fucking record! See you around, Trambo.
This Red Zilla video.
And you're gonna have people over there like Redzilla.
Is that really you, Redzilla?
Redzilla's been busy. Redzilla's been busy. Subscribe to Redzilla, guys.
Redzilla 2, what's up, man?
Redzilla's putting out smart shit. He's got balls, too. Redzilla's got balls. He's putting the truth out.
Was, Redzilla.
Redzilla.